Yeah, this has been a really long break, but I know you feel the same way. It's like you've been doing so great on your own. You haven't really needed my, whatever it is that I do. You haven't needed it. You've been doing so great on your own,
Yeah, I've been doing pretty well. And so I have, I applied for grad school last week.
Oh, that's exciting.
It is exciting. And,
oh, that's right, because when we talked last, it was really kind of a big decision you wanted to make and just move forward with it or not.
Yes.
I remember that.
And so I went ahead and I submitted the application on Friday. So I'm waiting to hear back, of course. They said possibly 2 to 3 weeks.
Nice.
And I'm trying not to get freaked out about it.
Well, it is what it is. If this, I guess you could say you could go to a different grad program. You can always, if the worst case scenario is you don't get accepted, then find another. If it's something you want to do, then you need to find the right fit. Sometimes people make that decision for you.
Mm-hmm.
So go into, can you handle it? If you're not accepted, can you handle that?
I can. I'll be disappointed. I'll apply somewhere else.
Well, there you go. Yeah, just see this as what you're applying for is the best case scenario. Can you see it that way?
Yes.
That's the best case scenario. That's the easiest route. It's the, best case scenario. Think of it that way.
And then I have a little bit of anxiety about if I'm accepted, can I handle it?
Well, that's the question. If you're experiencing anxiety, what do you think your answer is?
Well, so many people handle grad school with full-time jobs, and even more on their plate in life than I have. Like they have children.
I know. Don't worry about that. Just go into what your life experience is. So if you're having anxiety about it, what is the answer of, can I handle it? Well, if you're experiencing anxiety, what is the truth underneath it all that you believe? The truth of your belief.
That I may not be cracked out.
Yeah.
I may not be able to finish it.
Okay, so...
Or get through it,
or it might be challenging. So if you're full of anxiety, what does that tell you about the underlying belief? If you can, the question is, can I handle it? If you have anxiety, what is the truth of the underlying belief that exists?
That I'm doubting that I can't.
Correct. You believe you can't, and you're fearful of that truth. So where I would go with this is, if you can't, what's wrong with that? So start by looking at the criticism you're putting onto not finishing. Because there's a lot of unknowns, don't you agree?
Yes.
So it'd be understandable with what you don't know that you might not finish. Because there might be some unpredictable circumstance, like the death of your sister, or, just think of all these horrible situations that might make it end. Who the fuck knows? But the truth of the matter is we don't know what the story is how it's going to end. So the question I want to ask you is, why is there something wrong with that? Why is there something wrong if you don't finish? There's no grace.
I guess if I don't, there's nothing wrong.
Okay, so let's start with that. Let's remove the belief that there's something wrong with that. Okay. Do you see how that changes things a little bit?
Yeah, I can.
Good. Did you even know you were judging that?
No.
You were judging that. I think it's because you've probably started and stopped a lot of things, and you've always felt bad about it.
Yeah, that's true. And my in-laws are very academic people. I have, sister-in-law has a master's in mathematics.
Okay,
my brother-in-law has a PhD
Okay.
And so,
What does that have to do with
don't-
you? What does that have to do with you? Clearly, you're connecting it to you, but what does this have to do with you?
they don't have anything to do with it.
Well, that's the truth, but what does your fear tell you? Because you're saying that's what they have. Is it are you seeking their approval?
I would be judged.
Are
I
you
would be judged for not completing.
okay? So what you're saying in essence, in reverse, is I need their approval. I'm fearful of their disapproval. So the next thing is, do you really need their approval? Do you really, really need their approval? Is this in any way, go into the truth of why you're going to get your master's? Is this about getting approval? Because if it is, if the integrity backing this choice is about, I'm going to prove myself, which is what you've been doing for a lot of different things in different ways, right?
Yeah.
How is this going to end?
Well, if I'm doing it for other people's approval,
Yeah.
well.
It's not going to end well because you're basically not doing it for an internal gratification that has nothing to do with them. So this is an important thing that you need to really understand about yourself and what it is you're really seeking from this process. So this comes down to this concept of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, right? So intrinsic motivation is something that you benefit from internally. It's like joy of, like, for example, let's think about like going to school and learning about something you thoroughly like to learn about, enjoy learning about. You would study it whether you were going to get a degree or not, because it for some reason it's like really something you are passionate about for whatever reason. So you get positive reaction to it inherently, intrinsically. Intrinsic, essentially by definition, is instant pleasure, instant reward that does not require anything really. So, for example, when my back itches and Mark scratches my back, that's intrinsic reward. Music. When I listen to music, it's immediately rewarding. I'm getting reward as I listen to it. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Extrinsic is a bunch of gray, right? So extrinsic has more definitions to it. So basically intrinsic is instantaneous reward as you do it. And there's a spectrum of extrinsic reward. So there's the closest. So think of this as a bullseye or a target. The inside of the target is positive. That bullseye is intrinsic. Okay. As you go out, the outer rings they're all negative because they require something. They require a pay, a cost. They require effort, energy, time, sacrifice of some sort. So they're all negative. However, the payoff can bring you back into the positive. So for example, if you see this as a target, the bullseye is intrinsic. Very close to, or the ring around that target of which is extrinsic, like brushing your teeth. You don't necessarily get gratification from brushing your teeth, but you get gratification from the fresh mouth, the clean mouth, the idea that you're preventing cavities or other diseases. So do you see how the reward is actually pretty close to intrinsic when you brush your teeth?
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of like school or studying, so again, intrinsic is when you're learning about something you don't need to be told to study. You love it. You're interested. You're questioning it. You're asking questions. You're finding your own answers. It's just gratifying your own nature and curiosity. So extrinsic would be, I'm really interested in, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to help animals. But for me to do that, I need to learn biology. So I have to take cell biology, human phys, human anatomy, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry. And you do those things because you know that they're vital to the knowledge you really feel intrinsic about. Make sense?
Yeah.
So as you go further out, the motive changes. So then it becomes, okay, well, I'm going to school because I want a degree. So I'm taking these classes not because I really enjoy them or it's pointing towards something I enjoy, but I will get reward and feel good about accomplishing that goal, right? And so I still take the classes. I still want to get good grades. So the reward in the grade is the end result in graduating, right? We can keep on going. So we're going to keep on going further out from the target. So it's more and more and more negative, more cost for a reward that's further away and it might not be as big. It's kind of like gambling, right? So another example further out would be I'm going to school because my parents want me to and I want them to be proud of me. You can get further out. So you're not doing it because you are proud of it. You're doing it because you want your parents to be proud of it. So now so you still have the choice of what you want to do for school, but you're doing it for your parents' approval. So further out would be, I'm going to be a veterinarian because my dad's a veterinarian, my brother's a veterinarian, my grandpa was a veterinarian. And if I'm not a veterinarian, they're going to shame me. They're going to be ashamed of me. They're going to think I'm like inferior. And so you're doing something not for yourself, but for them, and more specifically for someone else. You might not even get any gratification out of it. You're just becoming something they want you to be so that they'll approve of you. The furthest out in terms of the most negative is I am doing this out of fear of disapproval and abandonment. So it's not even about getting their reward. I am super afraid of rejection. So I am a slave on so many levels to someone else's approval. Can you hear why I would take this time, close to 10 minutes, to explain this with what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might want to think about what your real motive is if that's affecting you. If you're afraid of their disapproval, if you don't graduate, this isn't about you. Doesn't mean it can't be about you, but it's that fear right there. If this was really, really about something you truthfully and internally wanted and that brought you joy, would you care about their opinion?
No, I would, and they're very nice people, and it's just I would be like a little embarrassed if I didn't make it through.
Okay, so you need to question why. Why is that embarrassing? I mean, I could see that if you tortured kittens, that you were like stealing from people, that you were, where your embarrassment would come from. So question why you're having embarrassment about striving for something challenging. Where are those beliefs coming from? Are they coming from them or are they coming from you?
Oh, not from them at all.
Okay, so you're projecting it onto them.
I am projecting.
Yeah.
Yes. And I haven't done coursework in 20 years. That might be part of it.
Yeah.
I feel very rusty. I haven't had to write a paper in so long.
Right, and have a due date.
Yeah.
And they don't care. Those professors do not give a shit if your dog dies.
Right.
They do not care.
So I'd like to get all of this out before the first class starts.
I would agree, because you can't afford to go into it with this mindset. This is the same mindset, I'm assuming, that has sabotaged a lot of effort for you. Which is, you need to really look at your motive, and we need to get it really close to the core. We need it to be, if you want to be successful, can you afford to be motivated by those outer rings? Extrinsic motivation? No, because you're doing it, you're gambling with a reward that it doesn't exist while you're doing it. So what's the likelihood you're going to prioritize a class when you're tired? If it's for like, I'm doing it so everybody's proud of me, what's the likelihood you're going to go to class?
Oh, 0.
Pretty much. But if you're doing it because I really love what I'm learning, this is important to me, I want to do this because I will be proud of the goal, where we can not just blend intrinsic, but also those close to intrinsic, extrinsic rewards. but giving yourself the grace of reality. You don't know. We cannot control everything. You can say, I want to reach this goal, but give yourself the grace that it might not work out. Do you know I started my master's? Didn't get it. I went through one semester. Why do you think I quit? I'm such a quitter. Why do you think I quit? Well, you're not going to have a clue. I got pregnant. I started a business. So I was pregnant and starting a business. And I realized that I was crazy if I thought I was going to get a master's too. So I gave up the master's for a business. I'm still talking to you, which means I'm still postponing a master's right now. Should I feel bad about that? Should I be embarrassed?
No.
Yeah. So this comes down to you not giving yourself the grace of being human. You're human. My guess what I'm saying is do not start this saying, I'm going to graduate no matter what, because then you are setting yourself up for failure, because that's not very adaptable to life. What if it takes 7 years? It'll take 7 years. You just have to go, I'm just going to do it as it occurs, as it's realistic for me. One semester I might take 8 credits. The next semester I might take 3. I might take a semester off, start in the next semester. I'm just going to, be realistic, be in the moment.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps you at all.
It does. It does. Because everyone has been very supportive. And so all of this self-doubt it has nothing to do with anyone's reaction. It has nothing to do with, it is a pattern that I have when I try something that could be difficult that I've not tried before. And things always work out well in the end.
Yeah,
Then I look back and I go, why did I put so much effort into being so anxious about it when things worked out?
Fear of failure. You have a fear of failure. And you have to really go into, so what? So first of all, if you fail, so what? Why is that something to be afraid of? Is it worthy of embarrassment?
No.
So give yourself grace right now that you're allowed to do something above and beyond and suck at it. Do you need my permission? I'm giving you permission right now. You can suck at this.
Okay.
If that's the truth. Well, I know. Of course you're like, well, of course I'm not going to suck. Well, doesn't that make you realize your fear's a little crazy?
It's very crazy.
Yeah. Once we go into you're going to suck, all of a sudden you're like, oh. I'm so into it. It's like me writing this book.
Oh, okay.
Right? I can sit here and say, I'm going to get it published in 2 months. Well, the reality as it's occurring, it's taking longer than that. Am I embarrassed? No. Why be embarrassed? I'm writing a book. And I want it to be good product. I want to have good content. I want to make sure I discuss the important things. I don't want to forget anything, And then when I do forget something, I'll just put it in another book. But it's happening as it's happening. Can you imagine if I held myself to the arbitrary rules and expectations I set for this idea or goal before actually knowing what it's going to be like in reality as my life is real?
There's no way to predict any of it.
Yeah, so why gamble with the best case scenario? Like, you're expecting the best case scenario. Your fear of not being accepted is like saying, I'm afraid I won't get the best case scenario. What's the worst case scenario here?
I have to drop out and just start another time.
Yeah, there you go. Why is that so bad? First world problem, right? So don't blow that out of proportion. Let's actually go into that reality. Recognize that means that your life circumstance isn't necessarily making it worth the sacrifice. The sacrifice might be bigger than you anticipated, and that's made you step back and rethink the timing of it or the importance of it or whatever it is. So just know that at any given moment, you're not going to do something that's going to harm your well-being ever again. You can back out at any time. All of this is a luxury. You don't need the masters to survive. You don't need it at all. You're good right now without it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, don't make it your survival. That's something I think that's common too as people, advance in life, is what they expect can rise, rising expectations for yourself. And don't do that. Because what happens when you have rising expectations is you become, you don't necessarily feel good about what you have. So there was a time in my life where I thought, when I have this house, when I have the car, it'll be great. Well, when am I going to get there, right? What house is that house? What car is that car? When it's the one I have now, presently, the moment anything I can accept presently is good enough, changes everything because I'm living in abundance, right? Think of your knowledge and your education as you already have abundance. So getting a master's is like, what a luxury. To me, that would be a luxury. If I could sit here and say, I have a master's, I would be like, that's amazing. What a luxury. The time, the money, the passion that goes into wanting to be a master at something, Don't make it don't make it essential where it's foundational. Because what that does is it makes your existing life feel inferior.
Okay.
Am I beating this to a pulpit? Good. Yeah, keep yourself humble. Keep your perspective. You really don't have to do what you're doing. This is a challenge for you. And you don't need it. You don't have to have it. You're not proving yourself. You're good enough as you are. And what does that change? What happens to the pressure that you're starting to feel?
It's lessened.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, so then I will do it. So it changes also the focus of why you're doing it. Don't you agree? It's like, well, then why am I doing it? Why am I going to get a master's degree? What is this really about? Then it becomes, you'll notice that it's actually kind of intrinsic. If it's not intrinsic, it's something that's really close to intrinsic. Gives you potential, gives you new avenues in your work, in your career. It could be, and who knows, it might not. It might not. My husband has 3 degrees and it hasn't really done shit for him. But there you go. There's the modern system. All that debt, right? So he's got an MBA, he's got an engineering degree, he's got a health promotions degree. I mean, he's got years and years of school debt, and it's done nothing for him, for whatever reason. So you go into it knowing I might not get a payoff. So what is it that I'm doing this for? I might not get a payoff with this next book. It might be so much, which is horrible. Like your expectations might be way more than what it really is, right? The readers. So I'm going to produce this book and people might be like, this sucks. I'm so deflated. Your YouTubes are way better than this book. And I'm going to have to go, great. I don't care. To me, I am internally feeling release and to express this in a written way so that someone can read it, so they can take their time with it, so they don't have to find it on YouTube. They can, to me, it's like a better tool for someone to learn something. Anyways, so it's like I'm getting what I want out of it as I'm writing it. So what happens to the pressure of how it performs or the outcome?
There is none.
I don't care. It's none of my business.
Right.
Even the money I'm spending on the editing and, it's just so much money, but in the end, there's no guarantee I'll make that money back. I think it took like 4 years for me to actually make money on Weight Loss Apocalypse. I didn't care. Doesn't matter to me. Could you imagine if that was the reason why I was writing it? Or why I'm writing this next book?
I'd go crazy.
Yeah, I'd be under pressure like you were just feeling. There'd be pressure.
Yeah. Okay. I feel tons better.
Okay, good. I'm kind of going at it from a bunch of angles, but when you came to me with this, I was like, oh shit, she's got a bunch of extrinsic crap getting into this.
But you get me, so you understand my underlying thought process.
Oh, of course. And you gotta pause and catch yourself and go, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to prove myself anymore. I'm not overreaching anymore. You know, it's coming back to your neutral point. You know what? This is a great conversation. I would have to say I have a place I go to, okay? Which to me is my base. It's like I got to go to my base. And I'm going to go touch base. My base is living in a tent by myself because everybody's rejected and abandoned me, and I'm on my own for the rest of my life foraging for food. That's pretty dang good to me. That's my base. If I have a tent, a way to get, it always goes down to my baseline human needs. If I have a way to get food, if I have shelter, I don't need anything else. I am not willing to be a slave to someone else to be my pack animal if it requires I become a slave. Will not do it.
Right. Okay.
Right? So I go to the base. From there, it just is so freeing and loving, and I can connect with people because I don't have to perform for that third hierarchy of need for anybody. I can just be myself. If people like me, fabulous. If they don't, that's okay too. I just saved myself from a terrible relationship with someone who's judging me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I touch base. So I don't know if I've ever even said this in a YouTube video, but you really need to bring yourself down to what's the worst case scenario to your survival. And if you can make that good enough, everything is luxury. You are now living out of survival mode. You're now living in abundance. And your needs to prove yourself will go away. Your need to overreach. Your need to constantly feel that I have to improve myself. That goes away too. So then what happens is your decisions around continuing education are really intrinsic. It's not about I have to climb a ladder.
Does any of that have to do with not wanting to share with people what you're doing?
Yes, because you're afraid of their criticism if you fail. You're afraid of your own criticism if you fail. Yes. I just interrupted you, but is that what you were going to ask?
Yeah, because there's only 2 people at work that I've told about that I have applied. Told them that I applied, and one I needed a reference letter from, and the other one is mine.
Yeah.
Best friend. And I haven't, spread the word yet that I applied. So I was thinking, when I get accepted, of course I'm not going to make a big announcement about it, but as things go on, I might mention it here and there, but I was thinking, wow, do I really want people to know what am I not telling people because...
Well, I don't know. You kind of need to wait to see if you get accepted. And even then, you need to wait to see if you accept the acceptance and really move forward with it. So it's a personal decision. I could understand why you'd be private right now with it. But at some point, why wouldn't, if you're talking and you're like, oh yeah, I have classes, I'm getting my master's, who cares? It's just like saying, yeah, I'm going to get my nails done.
Okay.
Because you're not doing it for any other reason, but this is for me. I'm excited about it. I'm learning something I want to learn. It's opportunity. If it were me, I don't know. I would probably tell my dad and my stepmom. I tell my, I don't know if I would shout it out everywhere, but because it's like me saying I'm going to re-landscape my yard. Now, once I graduated, I'd be pretty freaking excited because it means it's over. It's kind of like with this book. I have a lot of people know that I'm writing this book, right? When this book is over, I'm going to freaking celebrate. Just because it's over. I'll be like, I wrote the book. You can go get it. That's going to feel really good.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. Stay intrinsic as much as you can. Get to know what you're really doing it for. What am I doing this for, and what am I getting out of it? What's the risk? What if I don't make the money back? What if I don't really get this job? What if the things that I'm thinking I'm going to get don't pan out? Is it still worth it? The answer is yes, you should be doing it. Because that's internal. That means it's intrinsic. It's something you've been wanting to do. It's something you're enjoying. Something you'll probably really be successful at. And you should just do it for yourself and nobody else.
Okay. It all makes complete sense. And it lifts this weight that I put on my shoulders about it. My own doing.
Well, I think what you're doing is you're creating and that's why I mentioned this earlier. You just have to be aware of this rising expectations. Am I happy with what I got? I need to climb the ladder. I'm not happy with what I got. I need to climb another ring. I'm not happy with that. Be happy where you're at. Go to your touch base. I'm happy with nothing. Well, this is cool. I'm happy with nothing. Well, why not try that? Okay. So any success is beneficial. It's not the new norm, right? It's all luxury. So if it comes and it goes, it's all luxury. So you never really experience that relative deprivation that comes from the rising expectations. Good for you, girlfriend. I'm a student myself, so it would be nice if I got some certificate for what I'm studying.
Oh, you probably have a doctorate.
No.
With as much as you know when you have studied.
I don't know about that.
And you're writing this book, thesis, etc.
Yeah. I should just print my own certificate. School of Hard Knocks. I expressed it.
So I have a doctor's appointment coming up in 2 weeks.
How do you feel about it?
Not really anything. We're gonna
Perfect.
test my vitamin D.
You getting in the sun?
Test the blood pressure. Not much.
That might be a good thing.
I was on a high regimen of vitamin D for 8 weeks.
Yeah, the problem with that is it's not the same as sun exposure to, with the skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know that vitamin D, it's actually not a vitamin, it's a steroid.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
That's new science. So you need some anti-inflammatories, go sit in the sun. It's like a steroid. For some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a steroid for all people, but some people need that stimulant from the skin organ.
Yeah, I was reading that 10-15 minutes a day is beneficial.
Oh yeah, I need more than that. It's dependent on who you are and what your organ,
Mm-hmm.
I need more than that. That's not enough for me.
Yeah, and right now, working nights, I don't get much sun at all.
Yeah, you're getting all that radiation from the fake lighting. Yeah, get outside. Sit in the sun, drink your coffee.
We have a pool where we live, and then I was thinking of maybe starting a swimming regimen.
Okay.
Because I think that would be good for me. My knees are still bothering me a little bit.
Yeah, that would be good for your skin with the sun if it's an outdoor pool. Is it outdoor or indoor?
It's outdoor.
Awesome. Why not? Just what I would suggest, anytime people try to add a fitness or activity, the goal is to avoid all or nothing type of thinking. So it's not, I'm going to go 5 days a week and then fantasize about something crazy unrealistic, right? Think, I'm going to start twice a week. I'm going to do it on Tuesdays and Fridays. Those are the 2 days. I know it's predictable. I'm going to do it like routine, like brushing my teeth. I get home or once I wake up, I'll do 15, 20 minutes. If I feel better, I can go to 30 minutes and just do something that's within reach. It's reachable and it's realistic, and just do it repetitively enough that it becomes a routine. So the goal here, though, isn't that you're overreaching with it to the point where you're miserable and don't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
It's a fine balance where you got to work with what works for your life, right?
Yeah.
So, this is what I had to teach people for years as a personal trainer. It's like, no, you're not going to come in here 5 days a week. I wouldn't take your money. That's ridiculous. I'll see you twice a week at the most. If you want to add a third day, we'll wait for a month. You know what I'm saying? So that sounds great. I love it. I love swimming.
Yeah, I haven't swum for quite a while. We have a pool here where we live, and it's not huge, but it's big enough, and it's literally right outside my window.
I love it.
Probably the last 3 summers, I have not put a toe in that swimming pool.
You just need to schedule it just like you and I just scheduled this session. It's the same thing.
Okay.
You got to get your bathing suit. You need to get your tools first. So the good news is you've made the first step in saying, this is what I want to do. Now you need to get a bathing suit and some goggles that you're comfortable in. Maybe get a gym bag or like a pool bag that you put your stuff in. Do not put sunscreen on until you've been in the sun for at least a half an hour. Listen to me, I'm so evil. Then, because you need to get the vitamin D. If you've had low vitamin D, you really need the sun exposure.
Okay.
And then put the sunscreen on.
My levels were so low that they were barely registering.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, especially when you work nights. You need a steroid shot of D. Get in the sun. Yeah, and my suggestion is make it like brushing your teeth. Again, it's that extrinsic right next to intrinsic. It's like, make it there. If you can get it to be where it's like routine, you might not feel like amazing as you're doing it, but it's really worth the feel of moving your joints, getting blood flow, getting your heart rate up, feeling that energy of the sun, and doing it in a way that it's like within reach. It's routine. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be just 30 minutes. It just needs to be like, and I did that. Complete. Check the box.
Okay.
Does that help give you a little bit of...
It does. Yeah, because I especially, with any kind of an exercise routine, which I've not had in years, but in the past, it was all or nothing, whole hog, 5 days a week.
Yeah. Well, and you understand why you did that, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to force myself.
Mm-hmm.
No, not actually thinking realistically with yourself. What is realistic? Do that.
It seems more realistic, yeah, to start small and make it bigger than feeling to have to prove to everybody that I could do it.
Yeah.
And then once the 5 days becomes 4, then you go,
Yeah, it's all...
It becomes 3, then 0.
Correct. That's just not... Again, that's not intrinsic. You're doing it to prove something. That's pretty far out extrinsic motivation right there.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the summer, if you could say, I swam twice a week for 30 minutes come September 1st, how's that going to feel?
Wonderful.
Notice how that's like, oh, that's totally within reach. That's within, like, sounds like neutrality. I can handle that. You know, if you get 3rd day a week, great, but it doesn't have to bump up to 3 days a week. You can just stay on average. Think of it as an average, twice a week. I do this with yoga for myself. And you know what mine is? Once a week. If I get 1 day a week, in like 5 years from now, that will have, in my mind, the hope is that it prevents further damage to my lower back and my hips.
Right. Okay.
Just once a week. And so today, on Wednesdays, I've got it in my calendar. I will not schedule anybody after 3 o'clock because I go to this hot yoga class once a week. If I get in twice, that's like, woohoo, bonus.
Mm-hmm.
There's been like a period of time where I couldn't go over a 2-week period. Does that mean that I was like, felt bad? No, because I'm averaging it out.
Right.
There's been a week.
You're going back. You're not quitting because you missed a week or 2.
No, I have a very long-term life commitment. It's a relationship with yoga that to me is a life commitment. And it's not even for me, it's for the body. This body, me being the person that's in it, I'm committed to taking this body to yoga, to support it, to help its inflammation once a week. If I can do that the rest of my life, we'll see. But let's start with 5 years. I'm committed to get this body in the sun. I don't care if it's got wrinkles, but because of how it impacts the cysts that I have in my breasts, the inflammation in my body, it makes a huge difference for me to be in the sun. I'll do it. I don't care if people think I look wrinkly. I don't care if someone's going to shame me with fear of skin cancer. I'm not doing it for looks. I'm doing it for how it feels. Anyways, so I love that you're ready to do that. I love that you're ready. Just keep the old body image bullshit away. Don't let it come close to this relationship with fitness for you.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. But I have an elliptical trainer that's in the closet right now.
Awesome.
And I'm not going to pull it out yet. When I used that in the past, it felt like such a chore.
You know, torture.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with swimming.
Cool.
And then I'll add that in.
Yeah, you just need to relate to it differently, only because it's, again, what if you were to say, all I got to do is 15 minutes? Twice a week. 15 minutes, that's it. Would that take on it? Would you relate to it differently?
Oh, certainly.
So it really is a matter of relating to exercise and activity. You need to relate to it differently. If you don't relate to it differently, what is what I'm telling you going to matter?
It won't.
You got to relate to it differently.
Okay.
I love that this conversation is, because the theme is running throughout everything. This intrinsic versus extrinsic. What is fitness about to you? Yoga to me is not intrinsic. I'm in the now. I'm focused on each pose as I'm posing in it. But the benefit to me comes when it's over. It's like brushing my teeth. Granted, stretching is somewhat painful even. It hurts. I gotta breathe. You know, all of that is work. I don't really feel the benefits often until a savasana, you know, until I'm not moving. So it's like, it's pretty dang close to intrinsic. That would be the goal. That's the goal. And you want to find things that you enjoy. If you don't like that elliptical, don't use it. Sell it. Find an alternative that you actually might enjoy. So what you might need to do is just get on it and see if you feel differently about it. If it's like, I can just go 10 minutes. I don't even need to go, you know, because chances are your relationship with that elliptical was, I have to go at least an hour.
And it was the motivation behind using it was different than it would be now.
Yeah, well, the weight loss. So you see how far out that is extrinsic?
Yeah.
So you're doing this thing you're not really even engaging with because you need this result that has more to do with pleasing and fear of other people's rejection and your own rejection. It's just so bad. So when you stop and remove all that, then you might start noticing, God, I love feeling like I like sweating. I feel good. I feel like I have energy. It feels like I just energized my endocrine system. I turned it on. It's like I turned the light on to my thyroid. Woo! Feels good.
Because this vitamin D deficiency could just be the tip of the iceberg as I get older. You know,
Okay, get rid of that thought. That was a fear-based response. Just get rid of that. That's living in fear. So basically, you're doing this out of fear. Doesn't work.
No, I feel like I want to exercise. I haven't exercised in so long, and I enjoy swimming, and it's easy on the joints. It's very beneficial.
Yeah.
And it's right here. Like, it's right outside my door.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it's a running track. If that was a running track outside the door, I would not feel the same.
Oh, that's hilarious. So true.
But swimming is...
Yeah. You enjoy that. What are you waiting for?
I need a bathing suit.
All right, go get yourself a bathing suit. Can you wear a t-shirt, sports bra, spandex?
Yeah. I can wear anything in there.
Yeah.
Here.
So
It's just it's a residential pool, so they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care.
Yeah. You just need to schedule it. To me, it's schedule. You need to put it in you need to schedule it. It just needs to have a moment. That's what I'm going to tell you to do now. So let's talk about when you're going to go skiing next. Sledding. Oh my God. When are you going to go swimming next? Is it tomorrow? You're going to go today? You have to just schedule it. You see how different that is? Then I need to get a swimsuit because you could wait for months.
Oh, sure.
If you're like, no, what are you waiting for? When's the right time? Well, never. How's today? 20 minutes. That's it. Sometimes I like to break it up. So it's like I do 10 minutes on the elliptical and 20 minutes in the pool. So then it doesn't really seem overwhelming at all. It's like 10 minutes on an elliptical, 20 minutes in the pool. So you see how it's not too much of either.
Yeah.
So you're getting gravity-based exercise, and then you're actually getting the reduced gravity exercise.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So you see how it's like, wow, what are you waiting for? That's 30 minutes of actual activity. You probably need to schedule a 45-minute window. Does today work?
No, because I have to go to work early.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow I have a country line dance class.
Ooh, I like that. How about the next day? Do you see what I'm doing for you? Go. What do you mean?
I have available.
I can't wait to talk to you next because I'm going to ask. So I love that idea. If that kind of sparks interest, do 10 minutes on your elliptical, 20 minutes. That's it.
Okay.
It's a little blend, and it's like, can you do 10 minutes on an elliptical? How's that sound?
Oh, I can do that.
Right? It's within reach. It's right there. I don't have to wait. I don't have to get motivated. I can just do 10 minutes. Then you put on your bathing suit and you do 10 minutes. It is just like, you can make it really efficient. I'm not saying you're on your elliptical in your bathing suit. It's just...
Hey, I can do that too.
That's true.
But I don't think I have. I think I tossed my suits not because I didn't want to be seen in them, but they were so old and getting.
Yeah, the elastic and the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have plenty of shorts and t-shirts. I mean, until I get another suit, that's not a problem.
You got it. So you really don't have anything to wait for. You have nothing. You just have to like schedule it in your planner and just. You might want to schedule it right when you wake up. I know because of your nighttime schedule, it's like right when you wake up, because then you're done. It's like this conversation. You woke up 15 minutes before this talk. It's an hour of dedication. And the other thing is, at least with the elliptical, if you have reading to do, you can read on the elliptical.
Oh, that's true.
So I would, when I was writing Weight Loss Apocalypse, and different times, if I've been writing for a long time, it hurts my back to sit this long. Like, I can't go for a walk outside and be reading what I wrote, but I can get on this elliptical or get on the treadmill and I can read. So I'm still working on what I need to work on. I'm in the zone working on it. I don't want to stop, but I need to get my hips moving. Otherwise, I'm going to be in a lot of pain and that disc is going to be inflamed.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
God, it's not about, I need to burn my calories.
No, I don't have that perspective.
Oh, isn't that great?
Oh.
Yeah. I could give a shit.
Yeah, it has been almost years since I've done any. Well, yes, it's probably been 20 years since I had an actual routine.
Yeah.
College, I had a decent.
Well, that's way easier.
Routine.
Of course. If I could go back to my college days, I'd have 5 books written right now.
Yeah, and I even took the single unit exercise classes so that I would have exercise scheduled throughout the week. But then after that, it really turned into joining the gym and it didn't work out. I barely went, or I went hard and burned out quickly. I got personal trainers.
And they approached it probably the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That takes a practiced trainer to really understand how motivation works. It really does.
It does.
So.
And especially if you're not familiar with someone with binge eating disorder.
Yeah.
And they try to give you these diets. They're all cookie cutter that they want 25-year-olds and 45-year-olds to follow the same diet,
And the same exercise routine. And it's just, you know what? They're doing the best they can with what limited knowledge they have.
So,
I did the same thing when I first started.
Did you?
Of course. You only know what you know. You don't necessarily know what you know with other people's body until you start working with other people's bodies. And then you're like, oh, they can't do that squat that way. I need to study what they're doing, but that's, I was really fascinated by biomechanics, human movement, physiology. I've always been fascinated by that stuff. So to me, it was intrinsic. I really enjoyed training people because it was constantly learning for me. I love training. I actually have a few clients that I'm still training. I know. I gave it up like 6 years ago when I wrote Weight Loss Apocalypse, and then I've had a couple people approach me to train them, and I'm just like, okay. So over the course of the last year or two, I've been outfitting my garage. I have a third bay that I've got. It's pretty much a full gym. So I've often thought, I wonder if I should start YouTubing, my training sessions with people. Then I'm like, well, then they'd have to be okay being in the videos. That's like a whole different level of aspect of what I do. It's a totally different conversation.
It is.
I know.
But it just might be another avenue that will grow.
It'll come to me. It'll be easy if it does. I'd have to have the equipment. I'd have to have... This is so easy. What we're doing right here is so easy. I just turn on the camera on my computer. Ta-da! Here's a YouTube video.
Right.
Yeah, and then you have privacy to some degree. Everybody can hear your voice. So who wants to be, recorded talking about... I don't know, that would be kind of fun to watch, don't you think?
Somebody working out?
With me.
Oh.
The whole process, how it's approached, how I don't know, see that aspect of body image in a different viewpoint.
Right. Well, I don't know that people... Well, it will always be beneficial for someone. But I don't know if training someone, does that ever go beyond the exercise? Or
A lot of it is posture. Postural, looking at what these exercises are for, how to get the same challenge to the body without equipment, with certain equipment, using a wall. I don't know. What do you do if you need to get your cardio in, or you only have 20 minutes, and who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, those are very interesting.
It's kind of like what I suggested to you. Do 10 minutes on your elliptical and 20 minutes in the pool. Boom, boom. It's like I'm actually speaking to how it works psychologically, too. If I were to say you're going to do 30 minutes on the elliptical, what happens? But as soon as I said 10 minutes and only 20 minutes, it's like, I can do that. So we're talking to you psychologically. What's within reach? Well, of course, physically you can handle way more than that, but psychologically, what's within reach? 10 minutes? Yes, I could do that so quick. All of a sudden, you're ready to go. But as soon as you hold yourself to at least 30 minutes, you got to get yourself motivated. You got to get yourself in that space. And now it's never going to happen. Just 30 minutes. So just bumping it down to 10 minutes, all of a sudden you're like, I'm game. This is the type of shit I learned training people for years. How to get them in the door, to make it routine. Sometimes I'd be like, they'd come in and they'd say, Robin, I do not want to be here. And I was like, okay, well, just walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes and I'll stretch you out. And do you know how many times people were like, oh my God, I love you so much. By the time they were done with their 10 minutes on the treadmill, I was like, well, do you want to just do some cable work? I mean, they'd be like, yeah, okay. So we kind of work within what their energy is in the moment. And before you know it, I'm stretching them out. And they've been in and out and they did it.
And it ends up more than 10 minutes. Right?
Well, not too much because I'm still working within their energy at the point. But what it does is it makes what they're doing long-lasting habit. It's not all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. What is the middle ground? Well, the middle ground is so gray and dynamic. You know, how I work in terms of my consistency. Yoga once a week. Take the dogs out every day. And even then, I'm like too tired to take the dogs out. Wyatt, take the dogs out. I'm going to stretch at home. You know, I'm so dynamic and forgiving with my own fitness. I started weightlifting again, I think a week ago. I've lifted once since then. To me, that's acceptable. You know, because I'm working within within reach in this moment. If I held myself to, I'm going to weightlift 3 days a week. I'm going to run on the treadmill 5 days a week. Can you imagine how nothing would get done? Because I don't want to do that. It's not within reach.
Right.
But 20 minutes on the treadmill once a week, I can probably do that. I could probably do that today.
That sounds reasonable.
Right? And I'll walk if I need to. I'll walk on an incline. I don't have to run. Especially if it hurts my T-band. It gets into my hip. I'm not going to do it. If I feel like weightlifting afterwards and I have time, sure, I'll do some squats. Maybe I'll do overhead squats with no weight. Just a bar. You know? I do have the benefit of years of knowledge and years of understanding how to utilize the equipment in my body and space and the floor and a wall and cables and whatever. But, all right, I got to go.